Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners Postgame podcast. Brandon, powered by Riverwind Casino. My name is Brandon Drum. Parker Thune. Oklahoma 42-3 in a ho-hum victory for the Sooners. Obviously, Oklahoma with 515 total yards, holding Temple to 104 total yards is impressive as hell, by the way. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about John Mateer's performance. We're going to talk about Tory Blaylock getting his first 100-yard game on 14 carries. We're going to talk about R. Mason Thomas. What in the world were the officiating? What were they doing? We don't know. That was a bad call, but we'll discuss our feelings on that, obviously. We will discuss Auburn, Oklahoma a little bit, and a whole lot more. But first, let's thank our sponsors. Parker, take it away.
Yes, first and foremost, folks, Riverwind Casino is the presenting sponsor of the OU Insider Under the Visor podcast. You know where it's at, just off I-35 and Highway 9. It's been the OKC area's premier gaming destination for nearly 2 decades now. Almost 3,000 electronic games, table games, bars and dining options, plus the best live music in the metro. It's no surprise that Riverwind is always a good time. Also, a word from Jana King. Jana King, in addition to being a proud partner of OU Athletics and OUinsider.com, is the greatest team to ever clean, delivering spotless results and solutions from stadiums to any size business across the country. You can check out which of their solutions is best for you or your business by going to janiking.com. That's JANIKING.com. And finally, folks, you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. If you know ball, it's time to turn your knowledge into real money with Prize Picks. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Whether you spend all day Saturday watching college football or spend all day Sunday watching NFL football, or both, whatever you want to play, you can play with Prize Picks. It's simple. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you can cash in. Prize Picks puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Now, download the app today and use code OUinsider to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code OUinsider to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Now, Brandon, I'll be honest, this game felt a lot like Illinois State in many ways. Illinois State, I'll say this, that felt like a fast game. This game felt really slow, but you used the word ho-hum. You might also use the word nondescript. OU won a game the way that they should have won it against an opponent that they were markedly better than at all 22 positions on the field. John Mateer played like John Mateer should have played. You had a couple strong performances from guys that you want to see continue to build upon what they've done in non-con, and Jaren Kanak and Tory Blaylock. And it's not a 60-point win. It's also not, it didn't remotely resemble what is happening right now as we record this podcast down in Austin between Texas and UTEP. The Longhorns are getting a run for their money.
So is Georgia, by the way.
That has stayed interesting. Well, Georgia's playing Tennessee.
Yeah, well, they just got scored on again. That game, I never thought there would be a day that I would see Georgia give up 30, I think it's 36, 34, 35 right now. That's crazy. Anyways, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, it was all that I wanted to see from Oklahoma, Brandon. I said going in, all I want to see from this team, because they're going to win and cover. They're going to win quite handily. All I want to see from this team is I want to see them start fast. And they started fast. And they started creatively, man. Ben Arbuckle, he came out swinging. First 5 play calls were passes. He wanted to get John Mateer into a rhythm. It didn't take long. They finish off the very first drive with a Javonte Barnes touchdown. And then instead of kicking the extra point, they pull a little tomfoolery. Everybody kind of, I don't even know which, everybody scrambles into a unique, I don't know that it was a swinging gate formation, but everybody kind of rearranges, relocates. Jaron Kanek goes under center, runs this little jump pass, and hits Jacob Ulrich, the backup punter, for a 2-point conversion. And it's 8-0 Oklahoma after the first drive instead of 7-0. So maybe that gives Auburn a little bit of an extra study point. One little thing that they're gonna have to spend time on in the film room this week. But all in all, that was exactly the start I wanted to see from this team. I wanted to know whether there was going to be any sort of hangover, any kind of sluggishness coming on the heels of a very emotional win over Michigan last week. And they came out and they looked strong from the jump, Brandon, and they just kind of coasted after that. Coasted in the second half. Don't believe they scored a point in the fourth quarter. They could just kind of put it on cruise control at a certain point, which is exactly what you should be able to do in a game like this if you're handling your business.
Yeah. Look, this Oklahoma team is so far more advanced than last year's team, and I think people need to. I think watching how a team performs versus Temple versus an Illinois State, and you have a big time game like Michigan sandwiched in between those two with a Auburn game on the heels of all of that. To me, that was very telling. That was and I tweeted about this. I said, this is a kind of a tip of the cap to the leadership of this team. It's the tip of the cap of the maturity of this team, because there are a lot of programs that if you go into an environment like that, yeah, it's cool. You're playing in the Super Bowl champion stadium. That's awesome. There's Eagles in the end zone, right? There's a home game for Philadelphia, right? Or they're playing are they playing at home or are they on the road at Kansas City?
They're hosting tomorrow.
They're hosting. Okay. I thought they were on the road for some reason.
Game.
Whatever it is, it still didn't feel like a normal college game atmosphere wise. And obviously you were there. I'm back home doing dad things this weekend. But you'd have to tell me if you agree with that, but it just didn't feel like a normal college game for them to start fast in that atmosphere. I think that speaks volumes for the maturity, for the leadership, for the focus of this program, for this team. Something Brent Venables has not had the whole time. You can throw 2023 out there all you want, but even they stubbed their toe in games and atmospheres like this and started slow at times when it came to games like this. They weren't coming out and just going and just blitzing the crap out of them. And I'm not talking about physically blitzing. I'm talking literally, emotionally imposing your will on a team the way that they did in the first quarter. That was so dominant that I turned to my son and I said, this team's actually really good. Like last week, I thought they were good, but that showed me they're really good to go do what they did. And yeah, you look at it, it's Temple. Oh, yeah. Drum, it's Temple. But they did what they're supposed to do, Parker.
Exactly. And that's all they've done through 3 weeks. Done exactly what they're supposed to do. Done exactly what
that's what good teams do.
And right? they did more than that last week against Michigan, obviously. But they've checked all of the boxes as a team thus far. They've looked the way that you expect a college football playoff contender to look. And I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that Oklahoma can be in that conversation at season's end if they look in conference play the same way that they've looked in non-conference play. And yeah, you talked about it. You go on the road, you got to bring your own juice, right?
Yep.
That's especially true when you're going on the road into a stadium that holds 67,000 people, and there are 24K and change.
And they're all OU fans, by the way.
And there were a lot of if I had to guess the split, I would say there were about 15,000 OU fans in that building and about 10,000 Temple fans.
That's so sad.
They've been 3-9 4 years in a row. That's why I said, and I know some Temple fans took issue with it because apparently it was on a hot mic in the press conference room. But
was that you that said it?
That's why I said earlier in the week, it's probably going to be like 25,000 people. And lo and behold, the attendance was 24,927. So
I thought that was Eddie and Josh.
It
That
was
was
Eddie,
you?
Josh, and me,
Oh,
the
okay.
three of us
Okay.
all conversing.
Gotcha. Yeah, because Eddie said the same thing to me on Monday night. I remember I was just thinking about that. I was like,
Yeah. I mean,
oh, we
what
were
can
talking
you
about that Monday night. Exact same
what can you
thing. It was
expect
Josh
in
too.
terms of support for not only a program that's gone 3-9, 4 consecutive seasons, but also a program that's playing an opponent that comes in a 20 plus point favorite?
Yeah,
There was just not going to be a whole lot of Temple support in that building naturally. And there wasn't, I will say, credit to Sooner Nation because the fan base traveled exceptionally well. I don't know how many of those people, obviously, are Sooners from up in the Northeast, that
quite
this
a
is
bit.
their best chance to
Hmm.
come to an OU game. This is their easiest logistical opportunity to come watch Sooner football, and how many were folks that traveled in from the state of Oklahoma or the South Central United States. I know there were quite a few of those as well. Jesse and I sat next to several of them on our plane flight up here. But Sooner Nation, they came out, and they came out in much greater numbers than I thought they were going to come out for this football game.
So I used to live, my oldest son was born 30 minutes south of downtown Philadelphia, 45 minutes south of downtown Philadelphia. You know that. But a lot of people that don't know that, Dover, Delaware, mind you, maybe 50 minutes, if you will, pushing traffic and all that. But uh, um, there is a massive DC OU. I don't even we call it alumni, but it's just like a fan club. And there's a massive New York City fan club, and I would imagine they all collided down there. Just out of curiosity, was Jalen Hurts on the sidelines?
I don't believe so.
That is such a bummer, Jalen. Oh man, it
He's
was
well, he's
was
Jalen Hurts,
Lane
and he plays a football game tomorrow. I
was
know
Lane?
exactly where Jalen Hurts was today. He
Yeah,
was
probably watching film. Yeah, he probably saw the team before the game at their hotel or some sort. Would be my guess. Um, Was Lane Johnson there?
I did not see Lane
No
Johnson.
Calcaterra, nothing.
No
No.
Calcaterra. The only real dignitary that I noticed on the sidelines was former OU commit Bobby Witt Jr.
Interesting. Bobby Witt Jr. Yeah, I did see that actually. I saw that. They're actually at Kansas City, by the way.
Oh, they're at Kansas City?
Yeah, I
Oh,
just
interesting.
I just googled it. Yeah,
I thought that was a home game.
yeah. Anyways, um, look, John Mateer, and I think there's some credit due to this because I want to talk a lot about the defense more than anything else. But I'm gonna tip the cap to John Mateer, tip the cap to Ben Arbuckle, tip the cap to Jaron Canick, obviously Isaiah Satania and Tory Blaylock. They played a really good game. The offensive line was missing some pieces. You
And you
could
could
tell.
tell.
You could
Could
tell.
tell.
Like I think people need to understand this isn't a Temple team from last year. Like this is actually for I think an Atlantic 10 conference. Isn't that what they are now? Are they American or
The
Atlantic 10?
American.
It used to be Atlantic 10, American
No, it used to
Conference.
be the AAC.
AAC. Okay. Okay. Sorry. When I was growing up, the Atlantic 10 was what they were all in with Villanova and all them with John, John Calipari. What was the Temple's head coach in basketball? John Chaney, all those guys. Anyways, um, but for an American Conference team, they're not. They're probably an upper team. I would imagine this year. Would you? Probably top five,
I
six.
I don't know. Um, I don't know the landscape of the American Conference. What I do
But
know,
I'm just not bad, is what I'm saying. They're not like a horrible, horrible team. They're not good,
no, they're not horrendous. They're not
but
Kent
they're not
State.
horrendous. Yeah. So like that's my point is that when you have your second and third string guys against, you know, FBS defensive linemen that play week in and week out, they're going to get beat at times. They're going to struggle at times, no matter if you're OU, SEC. Doesn't matter. Like you said, Texas is struggling against UTEP right now. So like it happens. It happens no matter what. Regardless, John Mateer is an absolute beast. What did he have? 340 plus total yards again. And
282 through the air, 63 on the ground,
so yeah, I was
highlighted
two
by that
six
51-yard touchdown right at the end.
yeah, 345 total, according to my math, if I'm mathing correctly. 345 total yards with two touchdowns and one interception. And look, that interception again, um, he threw it where he was supposed to sit. He kept going. He leans back. He got hit. Like it's unfortunate. That's actually a big loss moving into the Auburn game. I think probably one of the more like Keontes Lewis. If he cannot play, that's a big loss, Parker, on offense. All the rest of the guys will be back next week. Like we expect Fasusi back. Like you
Yeah.
expect everybody back that set out on the offensive line. Um, we expect Eli Bowen, right, to be back this next week.
There's a
Potentially
chance.
Javonte
There's a
Javonte
chance for
Gibson.
Javonte Gibson too. There's a chance.
Yep. Potentially. Like this could be an interesting
Field,
game.
yeah, I mean, Dolby's obviously Kendall Dolby started today. Kendall Dolby not only played today, he started today.
Where'd he start? I
Outside
didn't
corner.
I was like
He started at outside corner over
over
Corbin
Gentry,
Guillory.
over Guillory.
You know what? I take that back. No,
No,
it
Gentry
wasn't
started.
Gentry. It wasn't Gentry's. I
Somebody
think it,
said Gentry was start. The radio said Gentry was the one that was starting.
interesting. I, I I do not have a mental picture of who was on the other side. I know Dolby was on the field side. I can't recall who was on the boundary side.
Doesn't really matter. They all played a lot. They rotate. He struggled a little bit to start, and you could tell he was just trying to get his feet wet. They went at him a little bit. They got their first down against him,
Or
and
I had it backwards. Dolby was on the field, or yeah, Dolby was on the boundary side. I can't remember who was on the field side, but yeah, I mean, for him to be back
amazing, by the
ahead
way.
of schedule, because
Yep.
again, Auburn was kind of the rough target date for him, Bowen, and Gibson. That's huge. You know that he's back in the mix, and that's significant for this football program, especially if whatever Gentry's dealing with lingers in any capacity whatsoever. You know you have another guy that you can trust at outside corner. Um, I feel I don't know about Gibson next week, and I don't know about Bowen. We shall see. That's been the plan all along, is to
Mm-hmm.
hopefully have them back for Auburn. Whether it happens or not, I think it's too early to say. Had a couple conversations with a couple of different sources earlier today that left me, uh, honestly, they left me uneasy. They made it feel as though it's going to be kind of a coin flip and very much dependent upon what happens this week on the practice field. So I don't think it's a certainty that those two are back against Auburn, but it's a definite possibility. We shall see.
Yeah.
You know who they're not going to have against Auburn, at least in the first half?
Oh my God. Yeah. All right. Let's just do it. Let's talk about it, and we'll come back to the. Let's put a pin in the offense thing. Let's come back because this is actually the biggest story,
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, this maybe was the most significant development today
Yeah.
because you're now without your best pass rusher, your best defensive end, in your very first game of conference play. And the game where your former starting quarterback is coming back wearing the opponent's uniform. And so this is a game where you're going to want to make a statement. You're going to feel the need to make a statement. It's going to be a matchup of 3-0 programs. So there will be a lot of eyes and ears tuned to this game nationally. And R. Mason Thomas won't be able to play the first half because he was
Hmm.
ejected for targeting in the third quarter of this game. Now, look, Brandon, this is a take I've had before today. I dislike the way that the targeting foul is adjudicated at the collegiate level. I agree that it needs to be a penalty. I'm not saying it doesn't. The fact
Hmm.
that it carries an automatic game suspension and there aren't any sort of levels to the targeting. I almost think of it like a flagrant in basketball. There need to be levels to targeting where, okay, if you are blatantly going out of your way to attempt to injure another player or initiating unnecessarily violent helmet to helmet contact, then okay, yes. You ought to be suspended. There ought to be a suspension attached to that. But there also needs to be something that resembles the flagrant one in basketball when it comes to targeting. Something that is flagged, is penalized, but that doesn't automatically mean you're missing a half the
Yeah.
following week. Because the hit that Evan Simon took from R. Mason Thomas was not an intentionally dirty hit. And there have been so many of those hits over the years where, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be a defensive end tackling a quarterback. It can be a linebacker hitting a receiver that's running over the middle. Um, maybe it's a safety hitting a sliding quarterback as he runs. There are certain instances in which you just can't really avoid the contact. And in some cases, it may be explicitly clear that the defender is trying to avoid the contact because they don't, like in the moment that in the split second that they can make the decision to initiate the contact or not, they realize, oh shoot, I can't afford to get flagged for targeting here. I'm going to do my best to avert the contact, and they just can't. And so it's not a one size fits all type of penalty, and I dislike that it is adjudicated as such.
Mm-hmm. No, so here's my deal, and I said this with the Jadyn Barham situation when he got suspended for the first half of the OU game, and I said that was bullcrap. Like, very similar plays, by the way, very very similar plays, and you cannot have a ref go to a replay screen that's as smaller than our freaking computer screens, by the way. Lean in there, looking. Yeah, you have a headset on and somebody on the other end, but the ultimate call is your call. That's your call. You're taking judgment reaction from people at whatever place that they're at, watching it and relaying their opinion of the rules, all that type of stuff back to you. However, this needs to be handled like they handle it in the NFL. It needs to be something that's done by a committee the following day where it's not rushed. They go through everything. That's what they do all day on a Monday is they go through and they span for 8 hours every penalty that could be enforceable for a suspension, a fine, whatever. And that needs to be what's done when it comes to this. But a whole half, like a quarter, maybe. A slap on the wrist. If that's your first offense during the season, what are we doing, Parker? Like, what is college football doing? I get the safety issue of it, but there was nothing on that play that was like screaming, oh no, that dude's going to end up with just blatant issues. That was okay. But the Keontes Lewis was, or
Oh
that was a
man.
penalty. But Keontes Lewis was okay. What the
Keontes Lewis took
hell?
a shot, man, and a shot that you would imagine nobody
He
would.
was defenseless.
Yeah, and nobody would acknowledge it. Nobody would confirm it after the game, but you would imagine he's going to be in concussion protocol
For
and in
sure.
serious
Yeah.
danger of missing the Auburn game next week because he took a helmet to helmet hit. And so, again, like the consistency in applying the penalty is one thing. The fact that it is treated and legislated like a one size fits all penalty is another issue. But yeah, again, if we're going to flag our Mason Thomas for targeting there, how are you not also throwing the flag for targeting on the hit that Keontes Lewis took? Because not only did it result in, well, not only may it result in Keontes Lewis missing next week's game, but it also meant an interception for John Mateer and it led to Temple's only points of the game. That might have been a shutout for
Yeah.
Oklahoma, if not for that play, because that set Temple up at the plus 13-yard line, where something has to go horribly wrong for you not to score in a circumstance like that. Oklahoma actually pushed Temple backwards on the possession that ensued. They ran 3 plays. Those plays went for negative yards, and they wound up kicking a field goal. But it was a sterling performance on the day for OU's defense that could
Huh.
have, and you might argue should have, been a shutout if that penalty had been applied on the hit that Keontes Lewis took.
I I guess how big of a I don't want to word this. Going into this OU Auburn game, knowing how good Auburn's offensive line is, you have Taylor Wine. I'm assuming Danny Okoye is probably going to be back for this Auburn game, so you're probably going to see a little bit more of Danny Okoye that half. Um, you're still going to have Marvin Jones Jr., Taylor Wine, Danny Okoye, and PJ Adebawara, but I just how big of a loss? I understand it's a big loss, but how big? How big do we think this loss is going to be? Uh, do you think Jackson Arnold's doing jumping jacks a little bit, knowing that 32 is not on the other side? He had to go up against him every practice. And I know for a fact he would say he was just crazy to go up against. I've talked to him about it before.
Yeah.
Um, he's probably going, pretty good start for the week. 32 is not going to be there for at least 30 minutes of the game.
So you better
Not
take
bad,
advantage
not
of those
bad,
30
not
minutes.
bad.
I'm curious to see what that rotation looks like when it comes to replacing R. Mason Thomas because PJ got banged up today.
Yeah.
Danny Okoye didn't play. You got
White
Taylor.
Gilmore looked okay.
Yeah, you got Taylor Wine and you got Marvin Jones Jr. On the strong side there. But I don't know if you got at least right now on September 13th, 2025. I don't know if you got another pass rushing freak of nature that remotely resembles our Mason Thomas on the roster. So the onus is going to be on whoever is filling those shoes. You would assume it's PJ if he's healthy and available uh, to at the very least put some heat on Jackson Arnold in the early stages and
Yeah.
hold things over until our Mason Thomas can get back into action come the third quarter.
Yeah. I still think the defense will be okay. I do. I
Oh
think,
yeah. I mean, that defense, Brandon, and this is what makes them so excited. This is what makes the prospect of everything that Oklahoma could do the rest of the season so exciting is you can take one guy out of the mix on defense, and I don't know if you'll notice he's gone. Now,
yeah.
we'll see. We'll see if that holds up in the first half next week against Auburn. But there is so much talent and so much depth on the defensive side of the ball right now that it doesn't feel like removing one guy from the equation is going to send everything into a state of disarray. Doesn't feel like the whole thing is going to come crumbling for the absence of one guy.
Hey, speaking of one guy, um, 2 weeks in a row, Reggie Powers the third has played like an absolute wrecking ball.
He looks
I think
great, man.
he's played
He
really,
looks
really
great.
well.
First
Really
career
well.
sack for him today. Three guys.
He's been
Three guys
close three
recorded their
weeks in a row,
first.
by the way.
Yeah.
3 weeks in a row.
Three dudes recorded their first career sack today. Two of them were defensive backs. Reggie Powers and Michael Boganowski got their first sacks.
Boogeyman, yep.
And then how about Wyatt Gilmore, man? Wyatt Gilmore put the hurt on Evan Simon towards the end there. Forced a fumble on the play as well. Sooners didn't recover it. That's what's crazy, man, is like this defense hasn't forced a turnover through 3 games. They have not forced a turnover. They haven't been spectacular at getting home with the pass rush. But you know what they do? They just keep you powered down.
Yep.
Pure and simple. They just keep your offense powered down. You can't run on this defense effectively and consistently. You can't throw on this defense effectively and consistently. At least no one has been able to thus far. So despite the fact that they have yet to generate a turnover, Brandon, we're looking at a defense that through 3 games has allowed a grand total of 19 points.
Yeah,
Move the
this
chains on this unit.
yeah, this defense is the best defense I've seen in Norman, and it has to be since '09, honestly. That '09 team was just stupid good. That '08 team was really good, but um it's special. It's a special defense, and as long as the offense puts up 20 plus points, you kind of feel like you like OU's chances every week. And like you said, they're not spectacular. Look, I don't even think that they're bad at the pass rush or not great. I think they're a great pass rush team. They have not played a team that is going to, and I think this is going to be the problem with Auburn too, unfortunately for Oklahoma. The way that they like to use their quick game, everybody's just used quick game. There hasn't been a lot of, you know, 3-step, 4 or 5 step drop routes, long digs and stuff like that against Oklahoma because you're not going to have time with the way BV comes after you. So that is why if people want to look at the numbers and say, well, they're not doing this. Well, because they played teams that are just getting rid of the ball quickly or running, 13 personnel or max protection against them. That's really the issue more than anything else. When they do go, you know, I'm going to say just regular pro set or 12 or 11 personnel or whatever, Oklahoma's got to the quarterback
Yeah.
almost every freaking time. And that's why people don't do it against Oklahoma. So this is going to be the week. And yes, obviously Hugh Freeze likes to use a quick game. Jackson Arnold's going to be able to run. Like, I think that's going to be to me, that's the storyline, but we're going to talk about that all week. But
Yeah, no
that's
doubt.
going to be the storyline is the run game with the quarterback, which I'm actually shocked that Temple didn't use more of, by the way. Because that's always been the Achilles heel for Brent Venables' defenses is QB run game. I'm actually shocked it didn't happen. What do you think was the biggest play for you as far as what are you cheering on here?
Sorry, I was about to pivot the discussion.
Go ahead. You pivot the discussion. Where do you want to take it, man? Go for it.
Where is Jadyn Ott? What is going on with Jadyn Ott?
Oh, I'll tell you. We talked about it on the pregame
I
podcast. I
mean,
told you
at
all.
this point, Brent Venables had a quote after the game because I asked him about it. We almost got to the end of the press conference without a Jadyn Ott question. I got the very last question. I asked Brent Venables about it. Hey, like, how close is Jadyn Ott to getting a major workload, or at least a major share of the touches? And the first words out of Brent Venables' mouth were, wish he was a little further along in every way. And he elaborated on that answer.
Yeah.
But that was the very first sentence of the response. And you can take that for what you will, interpret that for how you like. And Tory Blaylock has been phenomenal. Rushed for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns today. Ran with some burst, ran physical, ran tough. He's been great, man. And Javonte Barnes, after a poor week 1, hasn't been half bad the last 2 weeks either. Xavier Robinson scored today. So it's not as if you feel like the Sooners' fate, the fate of Oklahoma's backfield, is resting on Jadyn Ott. But even so, hearing an answer like that from the head ball coach about a guy that you went and made a substantial investment into in order to bring him on board at the end of April and be the guy that helped transform your offense, it doesn't paint a terribly encouraging picture at all of where Jadyn Ott is at. Whether that is due to injury, whether that is due to effort, whether that is due to literally anything else, when the head ball coach says of your senior running back, the highest dollar guy in the entire backfield, wish he was a little further along in every way, all the red flags go up.
We talked about it on the pregame podcast when we were saying, like, what's up with Ott? Like, how much carries of it? And I said he needs to be more physical. He needs to understand the playbook. He needs to put a little bit more effort into things. And for BB to come out and say what he said just kind of solidifies what we were talking about in the pregame podcast, Parker. Like, that has been, every source has said the same thing. The dude doesn't do physicality. He's not pass blocking like he should. Like, there are so many things that he's not doing like he did at Cal. And whether it is the money, whether it's like, it's.
And connect the dots here. Connect the dots here. Who's the other running back that hasn't touched the field at all, mind you, through 3 games?
Taylor Tatum.
And what do we know about Taylor Tatum?
The same dang thing. The same thing. It's an emotional thing with like seriously, like all of it is compounded. I've been told emotionally, he's not physical enough. He's not pass blocking like he should. He's not hitting holes like he should. He's not doing anything like he's supposed to. We talked about it on the pregame podcast. If you were an OU Insider fan, you knew that there were issues going on behind the scenes. And for BV to come out and basically confirm everything that we've been talking about, Parker, for a week and a half, is just put a stamp on it. And it sucks because the crazy thing is Tory Blaylock's talented as hell. Like super talented. When Jim Nagy said that he was Jadyn Ott in his best form is one of the best running backs in college football, he's right. He probably is one of the best running backs in all of college football. But I think what's happened is he got that NIL check and he went coast. They're going to start me no matter what. And I think he got and the funny thing is what did he say about Cal? The difference between Cal and Oklahoma. And I keep his quote rings over and over and over in my head. They just care more here. Remember in the spring when he said that?
They just care more. And that better mean you care more.
But he hasn't. I think he thought no matter what, he was going to play. BV, DeMarco, don't play around like that. Ben Arbuckle, don't play around like that. If you're not doing everything you're supposed to be. And here's what I asked. I asked the source the other day. I said, out of all of them, who do you all trust the most? Talking to an OU source. Their exact quote was, who was out there in crunch time on that final drive? And I said, Javonte Barnes. And they said, there you go. He blocks. He runs hard. He may not have vision at all times, but he doesn't make mistakes to get you killed. He doesn't get you in big losses. He leans forward and he plays physical. Everything Brent Venables said that he wants in a running back, Javonte Barnes does. Now, the second Tory Blaylock starts getting the passing game blocking down, sorry, Javonte, you ain't touching the field. But until then, that's how it's going to play out. It's the same thing last year with Gavin Sawchuk, right? They played Gavin because he blocked. They played him because he could run hard. He didn't make mistakes. Now, he didn't get touches like he probably should have. We're seeing that. But that has been their go-to, Parker, with Javonte, with Sawchuk, with Blaylock, with Xavier Robinson. When they do their job, they touch the field, they get to run the ball. No ifs, ands, or buts. Until Ott does, this is what you're going to see of Ott. He's going to get 2 or 3 carries a game, and then nothing's going to happen after that. That's it. That's what he's going to be. And right now, OU just threw money up into the wind. They threw money up into the wind, Parker. Like if you're, I want to ask you this. At the end of the day, seeing what you see, if you're Oklahoma, would you have rather kept Sawchuk and not brought Ott in and saved money for this 26 cycle for NIL?
I'm not going to make that judgment yet.
Fair enough. No, that's fair. That's why I asked. That's why I asked. It's fair.
You know what?
That's fair.
I mentioned this in a story I just wrote on Ott over at OUinsider.com. I'm going to give it 3 more weeks.
And that's fair. That's probably where I'm at too.
Because here's the thing. And I mean 3 actual calendar weeks, not 3 football games, 3 weeks. Yep. Because 3 weeks from today, Oklahoma hosts Kent State. At this point, Jadyn Ott's not touching the ball much at all next week against Auburn.
No.
Now, if he doesn't touch the ball a whole heck of a lot more against Kent State when they come to town on October 4th, it's not happening the rest of the year.
No.
It's not. Because at that point, you're done playing around to the coaching staff. At that point, your last 7 games, That stretch represents as tough a stretch as anybody in the country will play all season. And so you're going to play the guys you trust. And if
Yep.
Jadyn Ott is not one of the guys you trust, he's not going to play.
I'm with you. I think you give it a little bit more time to see what happens before you make that a judgment of, man, they probably should have just paid the piper with Salchuk, and he wasn't asking for a lot, by the way. I know the whole story. He wasn't asking for a lot. Saved it and used it during the 26 cycle, right? But you live and you learn that. But I'm with you. I think you wait to see how Ott plays down the line before you make a complete judgment on that. I agree with that. Um, Xavier Robinson actually didn't look half bad, by the way. He made
He
a
was
couple
pretty
of big
solid.
runs. Yeah, he made a
He
couple
was
of big
pretty solid.
runs.
Yeah.
Again, but and people need to realize like he's coming back from injuries, so like he is trying to get his feet underneath him a little bit. Um, Zion Kearney, we had
Yep.
a
Saw
Zion
him.
Kearney sighting.
Ivan Carione almost made a
Yep,
fantastic
that was
catch down the
unbelievable.
sideline.
That pass
Yep.
was awesome though too, bro.
Awesome throw by John Mateer. Awesome throw.
Yep,
And to John Mateer's credit, I thought this was quite noble. He took responsibility for the throw that got Keontes Lewis hurt. He
oh that's
said,
cool.
yeah, he said, that's bad quarterback play. He said, I feel bad for that. Um, because it was a throw that kind of led Lewis right into the defender.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, that's something. Look, Mateer, to his credit, man, he has taken accountability, full accountability for every single one of his mistakes thus far. And
Yep,
really, honestly, those 3 interceptions that he's thrown, it's been one a week over the course of the season. None of them have been his fault, more than partially. Week 1, it was a miscommunication with Deion Burks.
correct.
Week 2, it was miscommunication with Will Huggins.
Mm-hmm.
And in both those cases, Burks and Huggins, I think you can probably hang more of the blame on the receiver than the quarterback there, based on the way that the play was executed versus how it's supposed to be executed.
I can
And
confirm,
then,
by the way,
yeah,
that
and then
actually.
today there should have been a flag thrown on that play, and there wasn't.
Correct.
So John Mateer has 3 interceptions on the year, none of which are his fault. He
No, but
hasn't thrown he hasn't thrown a bad ball yet.
but there are some people like that think that he's like turnover prone, and I just don't see it yet. Like he, because I think that's a bad way to phrase it. He is going to take risks. He is good, but you're going to live with those risks because, example, he's running around about gets sacked, right, on third and forever, and finds Jaron Kanek for a first down. Like you're going to live with those plays, Isaiah Satania during Michigan game. Like you're going to live with a couple of his miscues because more often than not, they're going to end up being big plays for you when he takes those chances. So, um, I think this is complimentary football. I thought the special teams made up for how they played against Michigan. There was a lot better special teams play. That is critical this next week. I am so excited for this next week. So excited, Parker. This is going to be another fun week. You're going to have a top 20 matchup. Oklahoma could be a top 10 team or close to a top 10 team when Auburn rolls in. Auburn probably be around 20, right? You would assume ish,
They'll be in the
maybe.
poll.
They'll be in the poll one way or the other, but it's a big game. Um, and then no hate, no hate on Kent State. I'm not trying to throw hate. Oklahoma essentially gets 3 bye weeks before they play Texas. Or they get 2 bye weeks, 3 weeks of preparation before they play Texas. This schedule, it's panning out great for Oklahoma as long as they win this next week versus Auburn. Panning out great. All right, player of the game on offense and defense for you.
Player of the game on offense. There are 2 obvious answers. I don't want to
Correct.
steal yours. You take
I,
one, I'll take the other.
we haven't done it yet.
That's true. I'll let you take what is probably the correct answer, and I'll say Tory Blaylock.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
I wasn't even
100,
going to go John
100
Mateer.
rushing yards, on 14 carries, 2 touchdowns. First 100-yard rushing performance of his career, first 100-yard rushing performance for anybody this season for OU. Good on you, Tory Blaylock. You're looking like an
Yep.
RB1
Yeah, he's
through
looking
3
great.
weeks.
Yeah, it's John Mateer. I was joking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's John Mateer. Yeah, look, 345 yards ish, 2 touchdowns, long run. He keeps putting up Heisman numbers. I do want to tip the cap to Isaiah Satania and Jadyn Ott. Jadyn Ott is, again, 3 weeks in a row, he has continued to climb up the rungs of one of the better tight ends in college football. And who would have had that on your bingo card to start the season?
Here's
And
a
obviously
fun little
not I.
factoid for you. Here's a fun little Jadyn Ott factoid. He's on pace for a 1,000-yard season right now.
He is. Yes. Crazy. Crazy.
I'm not saying it's going to hold, but through the first quarter of the season, Jadyn Ott's on pace for 1,000 yards plus.
He's got to be up for the John Mackey. Like, at least got to be on the watch list now. Like, he's got to be one of those additions they put on during the year.
He's got to score.
Oh my!
He hasn't scored yet.
God, Tennessee just missed it.
Oh, they missed the game-winning field goal?
Yep.
Brutal. OT,
Brutal.
free football.
Yep.
Okay.
I would assume, just my guess is that Georgia somehow figures that out.
Defensively.
Yeah,
defensively, give me Sammy Omosigho. Sammy Omosigho has played really well last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Played well again today. Almost had a beautiful, beautiful assist to Grayson Halton on what would have been a pick six. The first turnover and first defensive touchdown of the year for OU. He bats that ball high in the air, and Grayson Halton looks like a defensive tackle trying to go and reel it in, unfortunately. But, yeah, I was impressed with Omosigho today. He's been flying around. He's been making plays. And it was a day where everybody got in on the action. Didn't really feel like there was one guy that really jumped out at you as the obvious MVP on the defensive side of the ball. But I think Sammy Omosigho has a strong case. I'll give him the nod.
Yeah, and then obviously I'll go Reggie Powers the third. I think that's the easy answer. It's the right answer. Those were the 2 right answers. 4 tackles, a sack, his first sack of his career, I believe. Just been playing out of his mind the first 3 weeks of the season. He's got a chance to be really, really good when it's all said and done. This defense is nasty, and they have not even reached their peak yet, which I think is scary for the rest of college football, to be honest, particularly the SEC. So that would be my defensive pick. If I was just going to go honorable mention, I would probably say Dominic Williams. He had a decent game as well today. So anyways, all right. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners postgame podcast. If you're not a member over at OU Insider, all you have to do is go over there, type ouinsider.com. It'll pop up. There's a green button that says join now. Click that. You get to choose join now and get the Athletic complimentary for a whole year or not. I would choose that because that's a 2-for-1 deal. You get that for $1 for the first week, plus you get the Athletic complimentary on On3 and OU Insider. So that's a really good deal. Check us out. A bunch of people have been taking advantage of that deal. Make sure you do too. Also, teachers, send us an email, ouinsider@rivals.com from your teacher's account. College students, doesn't matter where you go. You can go to Temple for all we care. Send us an email, ouinsider@rivals.com from your .edu. Active Duty from your Active Duty account. We will send you all a promo code to get OU Insider for $1 a month for 3 months. But it essentially gets you through almost the whole freaking football season. So that's an amazing deal. Again, teachers from your teachers accounts, college students.edu, Active Duty Military from your Active Duty Military email account to ouinsider@rivals.com, $1 a month. We will send your promo code to get one OU Insider for $1 a month for 3 months. All right. For Parker Thune, my name is Brandon Drum. Oklahoma, 42-3, starting the season off 3-0. We'll see where they're ranked this coming year. Jackson Arnold and Auburn, War Damn Eagles coming to town. Going to be a really fun week of a top 25 matchup. We will be back for pregame podcasts, for post-practice blitz, for quick slants, and a bunch of extra podcasts since it's a big top 25 matchup week. Make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast or whatever podcast platform you listen to us on. And you all have a blessed day.